Do you think age is a factor when it comes to wisdom? Because a lot of people, especially in Africa, like to associate wisdom with age. Like you would expect somebody that's older to be wise. Somebody that's been there. Because that's what we expect. When you see somebody older, you expect them to know, to have answers to things, to guide you in a positive, especially if you think they've been there. Have you ever experienced somebody older that is less respectful than what you expected? I mean, you look at them, you go like, did he just say that? Or did he just react in a way that I've witnessed? I didn't expect that not from him, from anybody else, but have you ever seen that before? I don't know why, but my personal experience, I think with time, I think my perspective has changed. I used to think back in time that, people have to be older to experience things, because obviously you think when somebody's got a certain age, he must have experienced a number of things, therefore have pulled some beautiful conclusions in life and know how to guide themselves. But that perspective has drastically changed for me, because you can see today people that are 54 years old, 57 years old, 60 years old, absolute stupid. And you can see somebody at 24 years old, 25, that looks wise and conducting themselves in a way that is very louable. Fellas, Burkina Faso. This is the country. You can see on the map. Beautiful place, lovely people. Ibrahim Traoré. How do you feel when I say Ibrahim Traoré? I know you feel fuzzy already. You feel good because you know his name is associated for most cases with positive news. Yes, this is not different. Ibrahim Traoré is set to build 55 hospitals, okay, in his country, my brother. 55 brand new hospitals, 55 municipal medical centers, and 5 intensive care units will be built in several localities across the country. Congratulations! Yeah, congratulations. Number one is the fact that it's going to be built all over the country, meaning in everywhere in the country, not just in his municipality. I'll explain to you. In Africa, you get provinces, countries. You have countries, inside countries, you have provinces. In most cases, each province represents a tribe. In most cases, if not a tribe, it could be multiple tribes, but it's a specific group of tribes per province, sometimes. Now, in Africa, in most cases, when the president is building something that's interesting, such as an hospital, road, infrastructure, schools, usually they do it in their province of birth because they're trying to promote their own province. So even though we've become countries in Africa, presidents tend to lean toward their own province to build when it comes to investment. They'll make sure their province is the best big school or the best university, the best road, the best buildings. And no other province looks like their province. Now, this man, Ibrahim Traoré, doesn't care about that. He said it very clearly. I'm a soldier.
I am not a politician and I don't beat around the bush. I am a soldier and I prefer to tell you the truth.
I'm a soldier. I'm here to do things the right way. I don't think like you. He's trying to build everywhere in a country. Congratulations. I mean, in many African countries, you don't even know where the tax money goes. You don't even feel like paying tax. And that's the reason why many Africans don't like to pay tax. Because you don't see where the tax money goes. I mean, there's a president who spends like $65,000 a night on a place. Just imagine traveling to a European country and pay $65,000 to $75,000 a night. Whilst you have people in a country who are getting paid less than $100. You have soldiers getting paid less than $100 a month, whilst you're spending $65,000 to $75,000 a night in a hotel, you and your wife and your team. Does that even make sense? That's why in many African countries, people don't like paying tax. They're going to pay tax because they are cornered, because they have to. They don't see. It's only few countries. I'm not naming countries here. There's only few countries where you have to pay tax. It's imperative. And you actually see where the tax money goes. Very few African countries. The roads are good, and this is not South Africa. I'm putting South Africa aside. The roads are good. The schools are free of charge, so you can send your children to schools. They study for free. Hospitals have insurance for everybody. You can actually go to hospital. You don't have to pay. You know, there's a level of lifestyle that you are getting from paying tax. So people feel like they have to contribute. In some other places, people don't want to pay tax, because when you pay tax, you don't even know where the money goes. It's the president's family that's getting richer and richer and richer. They have parties in places. They go to different countries. They buy houses and stuff. Now, Burkina Faso is not about that life. Everything is coming straight. Ibrahim Traoré, this man right here, 36 years old, turning 37. A good-looking man, big, strong, great mind. That's why I said to you, I don't think age has anything to do with wisdom, because most men at his age are probably looking to a way to enrich themselves. Especially in Africa, when you become president through arms and weapons, who's going to stop you if you wanted to be a multi-millionaire? No one is going to stop you. Who can stop him? No one can stop him. But he's not about that life. He doesn't have a big, truck. Like American says, big truck. I'm a big truck. Why do you call it truck, though? Why do you call these big cars trucks? We call it car. The truck is the big one. That's how we call it. The big one, we call it truck. But the SUVs and the, hatchbacks, and we don't call them truck. Anyway, why doesn't he buy those big SUVs? He's just driving a normal car. As a normal dude, he's got like only 2 bodyguards, because this is the type of man that Africa needs. Okay? 55 new medical center to profit the humans, to help people. Ibrahim Traoré is doing a tremendous work, and I think we need to talk about this guy. Ibrahim Traoré, a few months ago, stopped exportation of tomatoes in the country to build a plant in the country. Why? Because, Burkina Faso produces a lot of tomato. But what they did in most cases, they will produce the tomato, send it to France. Look at the distance from Burkina Faso to France. And it is in France where it's going to be developed and processed. And France will put them into tins and cans and send them back to Africa to be sold to Africans. Just imagine, Africa brings out the tomatoes. The tomatoes have to go all the way to France to be processed in the machine and sent back to Africa to be sold at a much higher price. You say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? He built 3 tomato plants in Burkina Faso, allowing the people in Burkina Faso to have jobs. People in Burkina Faso to learn how to do the processing. People in Burkina Faso to buy tomato at a very cheap price.
This is part of the industrialization process. We can only be proud of our approach, which is understood by the people. The message for the Burkinabe is to have confidence, because this is concrete proof. And I invite the Burkinabe to continue to subscribe to the popular shareholding program. Endogenous development is a doctrine. We can only develop through ourselves.
That's what you need as a president. President of Burkina Faso said we're not going to get money from World Bank and IMF. World Bank and IMF, these ones, they are the ones that give money to Africans. They lend you money for your project. Let's say you want to build a road, you want to build a school, hospitals. You can go ask World Bank or IMF or some other entities. They were going to give you money with a big interest that you have to repay. Beside the big interest, they're going to dictate on how you're going to spend the money. They're going to dictate on who you're going to use as a company to build your school. They're going to dictate on how the long-term processes. Now, Ibrahim Traoré said we don't want this money. The bottom line is they use this money, this fund, to control Africans. For them to give you the money, you have to be behaving in a way that they want you to behave. Let's say they want your country to accept this and that policy. If your country is against it, you're not going to get money from World Bank or IMF. Let's say they say you need to vote against Russia. If your country doesn't vote against Russia, you're not getting the money from IMF. So Ibrahim Traoré refused to be an object of that sort of things. Uganda, for instance, they don't get money from IMF and World Bank anymore. Up until now. Why? Because President Museveni voted a law. He accepted the law to be passed that prohibits men to other men. Now, Uganda say we can do this because it's not part of our way of thinking. Whether you like it or not, you can do it in your country. Don't bring it here. We don't want it. The community leaders, the spiritual leaders, the Muslims, the Christians, the traditional leaders came together and said, we don't want this. Therefore, we want a law. Whoever comes in our country and come and teach kids how to do that, we not going to accept it. Those ones who teach kids how to do that going to go to jail. Now, if you teach kids how to do that and you have that disease that doesn't have a cure and you transmit it to a kid, then they're going to... That's the law. Then America said, because you don't accept that, okay, we are not giving you any funding anymore. And because America's got so much power, they spoke to World Bank and IMF, don't send money to Uganda no more. And Uganda's not getting any money anymore. Uganda used to get money from them for people living with HIV. Yes. Funding from people with HIV. They stopped sending it. I think it's about $300 million. They stopped sending the money. Why? Because Uganda refused to live by their rules. Now, my question is simple. If you were really sending money for people living with HIV, I suppose they are civilians, not politicians. Okay, this is because you cared about these people, right? Now, if you truly cared about those people, why did you stop sending the money to these people? Because of a law that is voted by people that is not them. Why would you do that? Why would you punish somebody you care for if their leaders are not doing what you want? I mean, shouldn't you, because you have a good heart, just continue helping that little boy that you've been helping? Because does he have a say? He doesn't have. Now, Ibrahim Traoré doesn't want that. Because he didn't want that, what did he do? He asked the population to contribute from their salaries, a percentage, into a basket, starting by himself. He said, no, I don't want you to pay me as a president. I want you to pay me as a captain because I'm a soldier. Put my money, a percentage of my money in that basket. He asked and incited everybody to put some of their money in the basket. And it's that money from the basket that they use to buy weapons, to arm their soldiers, to buy cars, to buy trucks, to buy military equipment, to give his soldiers to go fight terrorism. It's from that money from that basket that everybody's contributing, that they're building this tomato plant. It's from that money that they're building these hospitals. How can you not like somebody like this? Why can't other African president learn from this young man? I am shocked and hurt and passionate right now. And you have no idea. I could break your arm on arm wrestling right now. God bless. Drop a comment. You know you gotta drop a comment.